The story begins in 1938, during the era of Japanese rule in Korea. In Seoul, a woman drives her teenage stepdaughter, Shizuko, to an all-girls sanatorium school, a place meant to restore sickly girls to health through strict diets and proper medicine. Shizuko doesn't want to be separated from her family, but her stepmother insists, planning to head to Tokyo afterward to join her husband. At the school, the students crowd the windows, curious about their newest member. The principal greets Shizuko warmly, promising to make her healthy in no time. But during the baggage inspection, the school counselor discards everything except Shizuko's clothes. When Shizuko tries to keep a small notebook, the counselor slaps her across the face for disobedience. Among the students is Kazue, a kind and gentle girl who comforts Shizuko, telling her the counselor was only harsh because it's her first day. She assures Shizuko that she'll eventually fit in. Shizuko is taken to embroidery class to meet the rest of the girls. When they hear her name, some exchange uneasy glances. One of them, Kihira, helps her catch up on the lesson, and they become friends. Before bed, all the girls are given a strange health medicine. Shizuko takes it without question. That night, the self-proclaimed leader, Yuka, wakes Shizuko and takes her to another room, where she pelts her with pebbles. Suddenly, Shizuko coughs up blood and collapses. Kazue bursts in, ordering everyone to leave. She and Yuka were once close friends, but are now bitter rivals. The next morning, Shizuko is summoned to the principal's office. The principal serves her an unusual tea and tells her about an annual competition. 2 physically exceptional students are chosen each year to study at a prestigious Tokyo school. She wants Shizuko to aim for that prize. The counselor then injects Shizuko with a dose of medicine, claiming it will cure her illness. On the way back to her room, Kihira approaches her and reveals that another girl named Shizuko used to live there. That older Shizuko, along with Yuka and Kazue, had once been best friends until she mysteriously vanished without warning. Later, Kazue secretly takes Shizuko to a hidden storeroom beneath the school, where she found a notebook some time ago. Since Shizuko's own notebook was confiscated, Kazue gives it to her. As they talk about their pasts, the two grow closer. In school, physical fitness is measured by how long each girl can jump. In the next test, Yuka and Kazue score the highest, while Shizuko fails to make the jump at all. During lunch, the principal reminds the girls to take their medicine daily and on time, claiming each dose is tailored to their physical needs. Shizuko quietly asks Kihira what the old Shizuko was like, only for Kihira to suddenly snap, trying to choke her. Kazue intervenes, but Kihira begins convulsing, her bones cracking, foam spilling from her mouth. Moments later, she's back to normal, remembering nothing. Shizuko apologizes anyway. The following day, Kazue and Shizuko sneak out to explore the forest. Eventually, they reach a river, and Shizuko is overjoyed. She's never seen one before. In the next fitness test, Shizuko performs far better, landing in 3rd place behind Kazue and Yuka. Her health improves, and she credits her friendship with Kazue. Yuka, however, grows jealous. She hides a dead bird in Shizuko's closet and mocks her as pathetic. This time, Shizuko doesn't back down. At breakfast, she drops the dead bird onto Yuka's plate. One day, Shizuko finds a notebook under Kazue's mattress and discovers a torn photo of her. A necklace on the floor catches her eye, but before she can pick it up, a hand reaches from under the bed and snatches it away. When she checks, no one is there. Then a ghastly-looking girl appears in the room. Terrified, Shizuko runs straight into the counselor. Upon returning, the figure is gone. Soon after, a girl named Iguchi disappears. The principal claims her mother came to take her home the night before. Shizuko doubts this. The girl she saw under the bed looked exactly like Iguchi. When she confides in Kazue, she's brushed off. But Kihira later asks if she truly saw Iguchi and tells her to check under the stairs. There, Shizuko finds another girl in the same grotesque state. Horrified, she runs straight into Kihira, who is now choking herself. Her bones snap as her body folds unnaturally in half. Shizuko races to fetch the counselor, but when they return, both Kihira and the other girl are gone. The principal calls Shizuko to her office, dismissing her claims as hallucinations and prescribing a higher dosage of medicine. She adds that Kihira was transferred to another school that very morning. Now more certain than ever, Shizuko realizes something at this sanatorium is terribly, dangerously wrong. Later, Shizuko and Kazue sit together in the playground, chatting casually. But inside, Shizuko knows Kazue has only been kind to her because she reminds her of the previous Shizuko who once lived at the sanatorium. She admits she doesn't mind being a replacement, but she resents the fact that Kazue wouldn't care for her otherwise. Kazue's silence confirms the truth. She has indeed been looking after her only because of her old friend. Anger flares in Shizuko, and she suddenly sprints forward, leaping with the same force used during the physical exams. To her own shock, she clears the entire runway with ease. The two girls stare at each other, equally stunned. They rush to the bathroom, where Shizuko admits she feels strange and asks Kazue for help. The moment triggers a painful memory for Kazue, who abruptly flees to the basement. There, in the center of the room, sits a large wooden box, an object tied to haunting memories of the older Shizuko. Later, Shizuko goes to the principal's office, requesting to be taken off the daily medicine now that her health has improved. The principal surprisingly agrees, telling her to return to class. During the next embroidery session, the principal announces she will name her top candidate for the upcoming competition. Everyone assumes it will be either Kazue or Yuka, but to everyone's surprise, she chooses Shizuko. As soon as the teachers leave, Yuka attacks her, furious that her chance has been stolen. She slams Shizuko against the cupboard repeatedly until Shizuko screams and shoves her back. The impact shatters the cupboard's glass. Consumed by rage, Shizuko grabs Yuka by the throat and lifts her off the ground with inhuman strength. The other girls freeze, too frightened to intervene. Shizuko only stops when Yuka falls limp and unconscious. Kazue rushes to her side, asking if she's hurt. Those shards of glass are embedded deep in her palm. Shizuko calmly says she feels no pain. Kazue's face pales. Her old friend Shizuko once had the exact same symptom. Shaking her violently, Kazue demands to know who she really is. The next scene finds Kazue unconscious in bed, with Shizuko seated beside her. Taking advantage of the moment, Shizuko opens Kazue's diary and finds her own name scrawled across countless pages. She notices a sketch of the same large box in the storeroom. Determined, Shizuko heads there, unaware Kazue has regained consciousness and is following her. A flashback unfolds. Kazue and the older Shizuko were once in that storeroom. The older Shizuko suffered a seizure like Kihira's, her hands bloodied yet numb, begging Kazue for help. Overcome with fear, Kazue pushed her aside and ran for the counselor. But when she returned, Shizuko had vanished without a trace. They were told she had gone home, but Kazue has never been able to shake the memory. Back in the present, Shizuko and Kazue sneak into the principal's office, searching for answers. Before they can look far, the principal enters with a Japanese soldier. Hiding behind a cupboard, they overhear her discussing an experimental drug. Once the coast is clear, the girls unlock a safe and discover secret files. The truth is horrifying. The Japanese military is funding the sanatorium to test a drug designed to create soldiers with superhuman strength. The drug grants temporary power, but always leads to death. The daily medicine the girls are given is part of this experiment. The extraordinary jumps, the seizures, the sudden disappearances, they've all been the drug's deadly work. None of the missing girls were sent home. They all died. Their discovery is cut short by shouting outside. The girls rush out to see Yuka high up in a tree, moments before she falls to her death. The counselor orders everyone back inside, but notices Shizuko and Kazue are missing. By then, the two have already fled into the forest. They run for miles until they stumble upon a military base. Just as they turn to escape, a soldier spots them. They fight back, but Kazue is shot in the back. Shizuko whispers something urgently in her ear before bolting into the woods. The soldier drags Kazue back to the sanatorium, where the principal sedates her and straps her to a bed. Meanwhile, Shizuko sneaks into the principal's office and arms herself with a gun, intent on rescuing Kazue. She locates her friend's room, but something else in the shadows draws her attention. Before she can react, the soldier attacks from behind, knocking her out cold. The scene opens with the principal and the counselor moving methodically through the dormitory, sedating every girl and forcing them to inhale a new test drug. The principal is practically trembling with excitement. By morning, she believes her experiment will be a complete success. But the soldier has other ideas. For too long, The principal has treated him like a servant, insulting him at every opportunity. Now, with the experiment on the verge of completion, the military no longer needs her, which means he's free to take control. He coldly informs her that he's seizing authority over the project. When she refuses, the counselor shocks her by siding with him, punctuating her betrayal with a hard slap across the principal's face. Moments later, soldiers flood the building, weapons in hand. Elsewhere, Kazue regains consciousness to find herself trapped inside a large wooden box. Water begins pouring in, rising fast. She struggles desperately, but the box is sealed tight. A short while later, Shizuko wakes up in another part of the building. She races through the halls searching for Kazue, but instead stumbles into a horrifying room lined with massive tanks, each one containing the frozen bodies of the other girls. Then she sees it, Kazue, locked inside one of the deadly boxes. Shizuko pleads for her to come out, but her friend is already gone. The grief is overwhelming, but it quickly turns to rage. Fueled by her superhuman strength, Shizuko storms out, determined to kill everyone involved in the experiments that claimed Kazue's life. She rips a heavy wooden door off its frame and hurls it at the soldiers and the principal. Gunfire erupts, bullets cutting through the air, but Shizuko dodges them with feral precision. She moves like a force of nature, taking the soldiers down one by one in brutal, efficient strikes. In another part of the building, the drugged girls begin to stir, their bodies coursing with the same unnatural strength. Their minds clouded with aggression. They turn on the counselor, strangling her until she collapses lifeless to the floor. Meanwhile, the principal attempts to call the military base, but Shizuko finds her before she can finish. With terrifying ease, Shizuko lifts her off the ground and slams her to the floor. She's about to leave when the principal, in a last act of defiance, fires her gun. The shot misses Shizuko and instead hits Kazue's box, shattering it. Her friend's lifeless body spills out, hitting the floor with a dull thud. The sight drives Shizuko into a fury beyond reason. She grabs the principal and drives her into the wall, impaling her like a rag doll. In the final moments, chaos reigns. The drug side effects push the surviving girls into uncontrollable aggression, and they tear each other apart. The counselor's corpse lies grotesquely embroidered, a twisted parody of their needlework classes. The sanatorium is a massacre, blood smeared on walls, bodies sprawled everywhere. Amid the carnage, only one figure remains alive, Shizuko, sitting silently beside Kazue's body, her eyes fixed in grief and unrelenting loss.